President Zelensky gave a second speech today, making the case for new, powerful sanctions. During the address to Spain's government, he asked, how can we allow Russian banks to generate profits while the Russian military tortures ordinary civilians to death in Ukrainian cities? How can the countries of the world freely buy Russian oil and allow Russian ships into their ports? He went on, everyone in Europe must simply stop being afraid, stop being weak. For analysis, Edward Fishman now, former Russia and Europe sanctions lead in the Obama administration's State Department, now a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. Edward, thanks so much. You've written extensively about this. We now know what they are doing. We know they're murdering children, they're raping women, they're shooting innocents, carrying groceries on bicycles. And the Russians are paying for their plunder, as they do for everything, as the gas station for the world, selling energy. We buy that energy. What do we do?
Shepard, I think it's pretty clear. We need to stop buying all Russian oil and gas. The Biden administration, to its credit, already has a domestic embargo on Russian oil. But that is just a drop in the bucket. Russia is still selling 5 million barrels of crude oil a day, 60% of which is going to Europe. So I think the first agenda item, Shep, is for the European Union to embargo Russian oil itself. The move today on coal is feeble, as the Lithuanian foreign minister said. This is not enough. We need to stop funding Putin's war. And the fact of the matter is, every single day that Putin is selling oil and gas on global markets, there's $1 billion flowing in to the Kremlin's coffers, and those funds are going straight to funding Russia's war in Ukraine.
$1 billion a day. But of course, Germany relies on that oil and gas and coal. The German economic minister said if they were to abruptly cut it off, they would face shortages, mass unemployment, and widespread poverty. They argue it's just not possible. To that, what do you say?
I think that's an exaggeration. I want to be clear. There will be costs, right? The best estimates suggest that a full oil embargo would cost Germany about 0.5% to 2% of GDP this year. That's a significant recession. But on the Russian side, it could cost Russia 40 to 50% of GDP, a truly mammoth GDP contraction that would wipe out.
Then why not the rest of the world pitch in for Germany as well? Suffer one, suffer all, because the children are dying.
That's exactly right. And look, I think that there has to be some sacrifice, right? It's not going to be cost-free if the goal is to stop Putin's war machine. We are going to have to shoulder some of the burden. But frankly, I think 1 or 2% of GDP for Russia or for Germany this year is a small price to pay to try to shorten Putin's runway that he has for his military effort in Ukraine, which is just causing unfathomable atrocities, right? And no sanctions.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to get to your article because you use Iran as an example of where Russian sanctions could be. But if the Iranians have still managed to function with all of the sanctions in place against them, so where is the limit to what financial sanctions can realistically do?
But I think it's good that you brought up Iran, because with Iran, Iran was exporting 2.5 million barrels of oil a day, so about half the amount of crude oil that Russia exports per day. And the United States was able to cut that to under 500,000 barrels a day, so very substantial. So what I want to say here is that, yes, it will be hard to cut off Russian crude oil, but it's definitely possible. We have a playbook for this. We did it against Iran. It may not stop the war effort, but it will definitely force Putin to make much harder choices about whether to fund the war or maybe pay pensions, right? And I think when he has to make those types of choices, he may change his calculus in Ukraine.
Edward Fishman, thank you.